Good afternoon, Dr. Bulizer and my dear classmates. It is my turn to present my topic, Philosophical Orientation in Education under Duterte's administration. Pointing out that any financial issues would be overcome by the long-term benefits of education, in August 2017, Rodrigo Duterte signed a historical law ensuring free tuition at all public institutions and colleges, stressing that the advantages of education surpassed any short-term cost, SUCs. The law was first introduced by Senator Ralph Recto and it was mostly supported by Senator Bam Aquino. On August 3, 2017, President Rodrigo Duterte of the Philippines signed it into law. The Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act, Republic Act RA number 10931, exempts qualified Filipino students from paying tuition and other school fees in pursuit of their bachelor's degree or comparable undergraduate degree in the 112 state universities and colleges, SUC, and 108 local government-created colleges and universities, LUC, that meet the Commission on Higher Education's CHED standards. In the Philippines, state universities and colleges, SUCs, and other local universities and colleges, LUCs, are not required to offer free tuition and to exclude students from other fees under the Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act, officially known as Republic Act 10931. Additionally, the legislation provides funding for private institutions of higher learning. Its goal is to improve the chances of Filipino students from low-income backgrounds obtaining a college degree. Almost all members of Congress support the bill. In September 2017, the chairman of the House Committee on Appropriations indicated that 40 billion pesos had been collected and that this money would cover all expenses outlined in the law for 2018. The Commission on Higher Education, CHED, issued the Act's Implementing Rules and Regulations, IRR, on March 26, 2018. Before the President signed the legislation, the government concluded that the long-term benefits that will be garnered from a well-developed higher education on the part of the citizens will surely outweigh any short-term budgetary concerns. The administration also said that the lowest 20% will be given priority in terms of subsidy allocation for education-related expenses. Tuition subsidy for medical students, Doctor of Medicine students in 8 state universities and colleges, SUCs, can now avail of full tuition subsidy through the cash grants to medical students enrolled in state universities and colleges, GCMS SUC's program, June 2017. The Commission on Higher Education, CHED, directed the implementation of the 8.3 billion free tuition in state universities and colleges program, which benefited 990,899 students overall and 2,163 medical students who were covered by Special Provisions Number 6 applicable to SUC's Volume 1-A. This law is also known as the General Appropriations Act, GAA, of FY 2017, also known as Public Law number 10924. As of December 20, 2017, CHED supported the training of 9,775 faculty members in the following areas: 2,737 faculty to teach the new General Education core courses, 655 faculty to teach business analytics courses, 223 maritime faculty in the adoption of outcomes-based teaching and learning, 235 shipboard training officers of maritime higher education institutions, and 5,925 faculty in each EIs have been trained for senior high school teaching. As of December 20, 2017, CHED also supported the following: 454,554 students supported through scholarships and grants, and 9,302 faculty and staff supported through scholarships for master's and doctorate and other grants locally and abroad. In March 2022, he signed a law granting inclusive education for students with disabilities. All Philippine schools are required by a law that Duterte signed to offer inclusive education to children with disabilities. All students with disabilities are entitled to services and reasonable accommodations based on the Individualized Education Plan (IEP) and have the right to access the pertinent support and related services according to Republic Act 11560, regardless of whether they are enrolled in public or private school. On March 11, Duterte authorized Republic Act RA 11650. Ensures that no student will ever have their application for admission rejected because of a disability. Stipulates that all students, regardless of whether they attend public or private schools, shall have equitable access to a decent education. Entails offering infrastructure and facilities for the admissions procedure, as well as assistive technology and other suitable accommodations. The Filipino Sign Language is now required to be used in schools, broadcast media, and workplaces by RA 11106, an act designating the Filipino Sign Language as the national sign language of the Filipino deaf and the official sign language of the government in all transactions involving the deaf. By the way, as educators, as much as possible, we should avoid using the word deaf. Instead, we are going to use the word hearing impaired. Section 1. The Filipino Sign Language Act shall be the name of this section. Section 2. The state shall promote, protect, and ensure that persons with disabilities have full and equal employment of all human rights and fundamental freedoms in line with the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. To ensure their full and effective participation and inclusion in society, national and local government agencies must uphold their inherent dignity, individual autonomy, and independence by ensuring accessibility and eliminating all forms of discrimination in all public interactions and transactions. Additionally, the state shall take all necessary measures to guarantee that hearing-impaired Filipinos can enjoy the right to freedom of expression. Because of this, the state supports and promotes the use of sign language that accurately reflect the distinct cultural and linguistic identity of the hearing impaired in the Philippines. The Early Years Act, Republic Act No. 10410, and the Enhanced Basic Instruction Act, Republic Act No. 10533, which both previously authorized the use of Filipino Sign Language in the instruction of hearing-impaired pupils from early infancy to secondary school, both continue to be pursued by the state. The National Sign Language is Section Filipino Sign Language. Thus, Filipino Sign Language, FSL, is recognized as the national sign language of the Philippines. The FSL should be acknowledged, maintained, and promoted as the official language of communication in all matters concerning the hearing impaired, as well as the language of instruction in hearing impaired education without prejudice to the use of alternative modalities of communication based on individual choice or preference. Section 4. Education using Filipino Sign Language. A. Curriculum and medium of instruction. The Department of Education, DepEd, the Commission on Higher Education, CHED, the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, TESDA, and all other national and local government agencies involved in the education of the hearing impaired are mandated to use FSL moving forward and coordinate with one another on its use. Additionally, the FSL must be taught to hearing impaired students as a separate subject in the curriculum. Hearing impaired students must also be taught how to read and write in English, various Philippine languages, and Filipino, the country's official language. National Sports Academy. Duterte established the first National Academy of Sports in the country in New Clark City, Capas, Tarlac. by leading the groundbreaking ceremony for the Philippine Sports Training Center in Bagak, Bataan on June 9, 2022. He inspired the succeeding administration to build further sports facilities to promote Filipino sportsmen. The NAS's first academic year officially started on September 13, 2021. Classes will initially be performed mostly digitally due to COVID-19 outbreak. Construction of a dedicated NAS campus in New Clark City started in early October 2021. The anticipated completion date is February 2022. The specialized NAS site will have a building for administration and education as well as a gymnasium with a variety of uses. The NAS intends to provide a secondary school program with a curriculum tailored to improve students' athletic performance. Athletes who qualify by birthright will receive full scholarships. The NAS intends to collaborate with the Philippine Sports Commission and will have access to the employment of foreign coaches. The educational system will also make accommodations for para-athletes. Through its scholarship program, the NAS annual search for competent, exceptional, notable, and talented student-athlete scholars, nascent SAS, the NAS seeks out Filipino student-athletes from all across the Philippines. The following sports will be covered in the initial program: aquatics, athletics, badminton, gymnastics, judo, table tennis, taekwondo, and weightlifting. Technical and Vocational Education and Training, TVET, includes all types and levels of education and training that provide knowledge and skills related to occupations in various sectors of the economy and society through the use of formal, non-formal, and informal learning methods in both school-based and work-based learning contexts. TVET emphasizes on the study and mastering of specific techniques and the scientific concepts supporting those techniques, as well as general knowledge, skills, and values to attain its goals and objectives. Functions of TVET: to prepare young people for work, to provide broad-based technical knowledge and interdisciplinary skills, to provide workers with ongoing vocational training, reskill workers in order for them to locate and return to employment, to help individuals overcome obstacles caused by birth circumstances or earlier educational experiences, to promote economic growth by boosting worker productivity, to promote socioeconomic development by increasing individuals' capacity to engage in socially beneficial actions, to build the entire range of personal capabilities that constitute an educated person, to promote critical creative thinking, last but not the least, to improve skills in effective communication and interpersonal relationships. The social reproduction and transformation of occupational and vocational practices are related to this. Continuing professional development is a similar position. Because of the quick pace of technological change, workers must constantly refresh their knowledge and abilities. Unlike in the past, when a job might be retained for life, it is not typical to change careers multiple times. TVET allows for this flexibility in two ways. In contrast to the old economy's industrial paradigm, today's global economy places the focus on the worker to constantly reinvent himself or her. Workers used to be guaranteed a job for life with full-time employment, defined occupational duties, and well-established career routes. This is no longer true. Rapid changes in technology and related forms of employment characterize the knowledge-dependent global economy. Workers are frequently labeled redundant and out of job. Values education, good manners, and right conduct. According to one definition, it is the process that introduces young people to values, imparts knowledge of the guidelines required to interact with others in this way, and aims to help students develop an understanding of some underlying principles as well as the skills necessary to apply these guidelines intelligently and to have the stable disposition to do so. International education can be seen as developing international mindedness or enhancing international attitude and awareness. From an ideological standpoint, international education has a focus on moral development by influencing the formation of positive attitudes towards peace, international understanding, and responsible world citizenship. One way that international education might be linked to economic and cultural globalization is through the dissemination of global quality standards through quality assurance processes like accreditation. A useful alternative to the current formal education system is the Alternative Learning System, ALS, a parallel learning program. ALS acts as a replacement when a person lacks or is unable to obtain formal education in schools. Simply attending the learning sessions that are arranged by the learners and learning facilitators is all that the system asks of its participants and learners. The program primarily utilizes the school-based and community-based educational methods. In the school-based program, lessons are taught in classrooms, but in the community-based program, formal lessons are taught in community centers or other private sites. All academic subjects covered by the ALS program, such as science, math, English, Filipino, social studies, and current events, are taught using the same lesson modules. What is ALS? A DepEd implemented free education program. The Department of Education's ladderized modular non-formal education program, DepEd. ALS helps individuals who cannot afford formal education and must work around their schedule. It offers a sustainable alternative to existing formal education instruction by incorporating both non-formal and informal sources of information and skills. Instructions are delivered by either government-paid instructors or private non-government organizations. There are two levels in the program, elementary and secondary. Students must begin elementary school and work their way up to high school. If a student completes elementary school in a structured classroom system, he or she is automatically admitted to the secondary level based on the year level in which the student stops schooling. Teachers that are involved in this program are called mobile teachers for reasons that they often go about teaching in rural and depressed areas where a formal classroom is not available. Who are the target learners of ALS? Elementary and secondary school dropouts, youth and adults, although in school but over age for grade 6 and 4th year, unemployed, underemployed, OSYs and adults, industry-based workers, housewives, maids, factory workers, driver, members of cultural minorities, indigenous people, IPs, persons with disabilities, PWDs, physically challenged, inmates, rebel soldier integrees. Students should go to the community learning centers if they want to sign up for an ALS class, CLCs. Written and oral exams will be provided to determine the students' or pupils' level of competency. Before moving on to further sessions, applicants who have never attended any formal schooling will be enrolled in the basic literacy program where fundamental reading and computing abilities will be taught. How does ALS work? ALS A&E classes takes a minimum of 800 hours to complete 8 to 10 months. The process of integration starts with the students attending a 10-month learning and a review session conducted by the mobile teacher. After completion, performance are assessed in preparation for the accreditation and equivalency test or A&E that will be given to the students. Passers of either the elementary or secondary level gets a certificate which bears the signature of the Secretary of the Department of Education. This allows a passer to integrate into formal education and also gives them the chance to enroll for a college degree or technical sounds. Options and opportunities for ALS passers. Can enroll for college, enter TESDA Meralco Foundation Technical Schools, enter other non-formal training programs, enter formal training programs, look for work opportunities, enroll or re-enroll in formal elementary or secondary education. ALS versus formal education. In ALS, there is facilitator or instructional manager, while in formal education, it is called a classroom teacher. In ALS, the facilitator must be trained in ALS, while in formal education, the classroom teacher must be licensed professional teacher. In ALS, the facilitator must be a college graduate for A&E program and must be high school graduate or even less for literacy programs. While in formal education, the classroom teacher must be an education graduate, BS Ed for high school, BSE Ed for elementary. In ALS, there is no age requirement, while in formal education, age is required for every school level. In ALS, there are 5 learning areas: communication skills, critical thinking and problem solving, sustainable use of resources or productivity, develop of self and sense of community, expanding one's world vision, while in formal education with 5 major subjects: English, Filipino, science, math, and makabayan. In ALS, the modules are self-paced, self-instructional, indigenous, and integrated, while in formal education, there are textbooks that are teacher facilitated. In response to the negative effects of distance learning on students' mental health, Duterte approved a 2-month pilot test of limited face-to-face classes in COVID-19 low-risk areas in September 2021, and in January 2022, he approved the Education Department's proposal to expand face-to-face classes. By the end of Duterte's term, 1.97 million students in 220 HEIs had received the free tuition from the academic years AYs 2018 to 2019 to the academic year 2021 to 2022, while 364,168 grantees had benefited from the administration's Tulong Donong program. That ends my report. This is Marivic Ashley, student of PhD 300 class of University of Bohol under Dr. Ricardo Bulizer, Professor. Thank you and God bless us all.